When the seasons start to change, I get this question all the time. What bottles of bourbons and whiskeys am I going to be drinking? Well, let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today, we're going to be going over the bottles of bourbons and whiskeys that I find myself leaning towards in this wonderful season of fall. You guys have been asking for this video, so here it is today. Before we get into my bottles, as always though, I want to know what bottles of bourbons and whiskeys you all lean towards in this season. Leave those down in the comments below. But without further ado, let's get into the nitty-gritty of today's video. Alright, so I broke these bottles into three different categories. My mixers, my starter off pours, and my nightcaps. Now, for my mixers, I've got two bottles that I have been heavily pouring this season, like absolute crazy. And I don't know why bottle number one is on this list, but it's one that I have been going to like crazy, and that's going to be Buffalo Trace. For some reason, I just find myself enjoying this in a really nice old-fashioned, in a Manhattan, whatever I want to be mixing this with, in an espresso martini, just a nice cocktail to start off with. It's not one that I lean towards to drink neat all the time, but it's one that I really do just find is a really nice starter in a cocktail to get my palate acclimated for something a little bit hotter when I get later on into the night. Now, the second bottle that I have been leaning towards in this category of mixers is going to go to Knob Creek, the 7-year 100 proof rye whiskey. This bad boy right here is absolutely delicious. I love this thing so much, right? As a 90 proofer in the Buffalo Trace, it's going to get diluted down to, you know, probably 80 proof in an old fashioned. But this Knob Creek 100 proof rye is going to get proof down to about 90, and it's going to hold its own in that cocktail. It's spicy. I used a spiced Demerara sugar syrup in my old fashions. I use smoked cinnamon bitters, so I go for those smoky, cinnamony, spicy old fashions in this season, and this bad boy complements it like crazy. If you want that spice bomb, but if you want something to tone down those spices from the baking spices, Buffalo Trace is the one for me. So we've got a bourbon, we've got a rye for the mixers for this season that complement each other very well. You've got one end of the spectrum all the way to the other end. So that's why these two are on this list, because I've been going through bottles of these like absolute crazy. Let's get into our second category. So for category number two, we've got our just regular pours, right? Something that isn't super proofy most of the time, but it's something that I'm gonna drink neat to get myself ready for something that, you know, if I want to go proofier, I can appreciate it a little bit more because my palate is acclimated for something a little bit heavier in the proof. Now, bottle number one that I lean towards a little bit more this time of year is going to be the 2XO Double Oaked series. Now, this is the Innkeeper's blend. I've got the Phoenix blend. I've got a couple other ones in the back over there. I just tend to lean towards these. These are quintessential fall whiskeys. They're double oaked, they're marshmallowy, they're toasty, they get a little bit of a smokiness in there, they're spicy with that rye influence. They're coming in at 104 proof, so you're getting a little bit more proof. I always say my favorite proof point is 106 to about 115 in that range to start off with, and this, you know, it's falling a little bit low on that, but I'm throwing it in here because I absolutely love this bottle of whiskey for the fall time, and it just goes perfectly with the fall time with that chilly weather and the double oaked process that this goes through. Now let's get into our second bottle of this category, and that's going to be a rye whiskey. This one is falling really low on that totem pole, but this is one that I'm not mixing with. This is the Bardstown Origin Series rye. Coming in at 96 proof. It's a 6-year 95.5 rye. But when I got this bottle, I wasn't the biggest fan of it because it was super rye forward. But after it opened up, I really found an enjoyment for this bottle, and it's one that I go to way more often than not, and I shouldn't be because I can't get this here in Jersey, and I have to rely on other people to find this bottle for me, and I don't think it's as available as the other Origin series. So I need to slow down a little bit on this bottle or get a backup immediately. Now, our third bottle is one that I've talked about a lot on this channel, and it's going to go to Pikesville Rye. Now, this is 110 proof, 51% rye in this mash bill. So it's a very, very low percentage rye whiskey. It's one that I always recommend for the beginner rye drinker, the one that wants to try to dabble into rye whiskeys because of that low rye mash. 110 proof. It's one that, you know, I do anything with this bottle of whiskey right here. I mix it, I drink it neat, I drink it on the rocks, I introduce people to this whiskey. It's really, really good, and I really, really love Pikesville for absolutely anything in this fall time. It's a great whiskey all year round, but this is definitely one that I find myself leaning towards in this fall season. Now, without further ado, we've got a couple more bottles to get into that I find myself leaning towards in the fall time. Smash that subscribe button. We are so close to 9,000 subscribers, which means I am letting you know what the 10,000 subscriber giveaway is. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2024. That is my goal, and it's only up to you guys. Make sure you check the link out down below for the Patreon as well, because we've got barrel picks in the works. We do giveaways, fun things. The Discord chat is popping off like crazy, and you guys don't want to miss it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it into category number 3, and these are going to be our nightcap pours, the ones that we sit down on the couch, we watch a movie, we watch the end of a football game with, and we sip slowly and enjoy the rest of our night with. And it's something that I tend to find myself enjoying neat on, or just, you know, by itself, something I don't really tend to want to mix with because I want to enjoy that whiskey for what it is. And these are the 3 bottles that I tend to lean towards in this fall season for some odd reason. Now, bottle number 1 is a wheater, and it's going to go to Maker's Mark. Now, more specifically, store picks. I'm looking for ones that have a higher Maker's Mark 46 stave profile or a higher toasted French spice. For me, those bring out a little bit more of like a spicy, cinnamony aspect, but it's a sweet cinnamon, and it complements the wheated bourbon very, very well in my personal opinion, and it brings in a really nice just warmth, apple pie in a way that I just absolutely love in these Maker's Mark picks. That, you know, if you can find ones with those higher Maker's Mark 46 stave or the toasted French spice staves, those are the ones that I tend to lean towards a little bit more in the fall time because of those baking spices. Now, bottle number 2 is again another wheater. For some reason, I am leaning towards all of my Larceny bottles more than my Elijah Craig bottles at the moment. I think that these right here are just absolute just cream bombs. When I am enjoying a whiskey, this for me gives a better mouthfeel than Elijah Craig most of the time. For some reason, I think that they're more viscous, they're more syrupy in a way, and I think that for that fact, I'm getting a little bit more maple syrup, a little bit more maple, some more pancakey vibes. And when I think of pancakes, I think of fall. I think of fall, cold mornings, you know, hot butter on a pancake with a deep drizzle of maple syrup. These Larcenys definitely do that for me, and that's why I think I find myself leaning towards these a little bit more, because, you know, I get the spiciness from these, I get the sweeter aspect with the mapliness from these, and then with my last pick on this on these categories, I'm going with one that I'm fortunate enough to have multiple of these, and I tend to lean towards these a little bit more. And, you know, I tend to not want to put these bottles on these lists because they are so hard to find, but prices on secondary are going down at the moment. You know, you can find a bottle of Stag Junior on the secondary market for about 150, 160 bucks, and I think they're well worth that price. You know, if you've been looking for one, don't go into a store and spend the $250, $300 that they have it for, right? Go do your research, go on Facebook groups, you know, put your name out there. If you're looking for a bottle of this, I think it's well worth it for your first one at 150, 160 bucks. But nonetheless, I've got some Stag Juniors that I absolutely love, and these are the ones that I really, really lean towards in this fall season. A nice 2-ounce pour of this in a Glencairn or a rocks glass sitting back on the couch is the way I want to end my night. You know, these are barrel proof Buffalo Trace bottles of bourbons that I absolutely love. You know, I've got the single barrel back there that's a really, really special occasion pour, but these other batches just are the cream of the crop in my personal opinion for this fall season. Like I said, I want to know what your bottles are down in the comments below. I've had a couple people say that they want to see the bottles one more time on the table so you can see everything that I had to offer for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you drop that like, leave that comment down below. Like I said, smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Check out the link for the Patreon. But until next time, this has been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.